of the other one
That's
in
the
20
whole
years'
thing.
time, things like that.
Yeah, or
And,
just bored by all of the information that's on.
and science isn't an exact science. That's the thing. It's a moving goalpost. What's
Well,
true
I've said
today
to
in
you,
science may not be true next week.
I've said to you before, that when you study the sort of work that you do, that I do, which is different, but when I've seen people who have gone for certification to be a psychologist, they get the certificate, they put it up on a wall, they stop studying because they say, I'm a psychologist. But psychology moves on and changes and alters, and new techniques and new understandings and new findings come up. But they don't move with the time. So when you find after a little while they can't do what they've got the certificate for. And then the other side of the coin is that people change, and all of these things change. The way you help people changes. The way you start a business changes. The way you get the money to start a business, the goal setting that you do changes. There's different ideas and techniques. And if you walk into a big bookshop, you go to the fiction section, anything written in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s is exactly the same as it was then. The reality section, which is your science and your medical and your biology, that's the reality. That's all changing. Updated version, updated version. The previous version was found to have this, but now we think this. But fiction never changes. Reality changes. And unless you realize that reality changes, then you need to change with reality, because what you're believing is fiction.
Absolutely.
And all I'm believing that I'm going to get a flight out of here and I'm going to go back to France. So that's my goal, which is a very nice segue, and you can have that one for free, to our talk today.
Yes.
So it pulled us back out of that coronavirus loop.
I just want to say hello to a few people before we go into goal setting. And we haven't planned this show. It's just we were talking about achieving things in lockdown and getting on and not wasting this time. So we decided to just come together and talk about how to set goals when they're to make them achievable. So we haven't got no slideshows. We're just going to sit here and basically share our experiences and tell you how to do it. And we've got Christina here, Judy's here, Adara's here, Katja, Lisa, Annette and Kelly, Cheryl, Clint. Oh, in answer to your question, Clint, on the other live, by the way, no, it's not shellfish. We got to do what we got to do when we got to do it. If you can remember the question of that. Sorry?
You've been talking about shellfish.
Shellfish. Close.
Oh,
no cigar. Kate's here. We should do a Monty Python sketch, Clint says. Is today the day Dave plays the piano for us? Good point. No, it's when you get home to your piano, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
I'll promise I'll play something. You might not recognize what it is, but I'll definitely play something. They're all the white notes, but not in the right order. But yeah.
Yeah, I can sing. Just people. It's just before we start.
We want to go there.
Yeah, just before we start this, I was trying to sing to. No, I wasn't. I'll rephrase that. I wasn't singing to my friend Tess last night, but I was trying to sing a song to get her to recognize the song, and the more I sung it in my head, it was perfect. But what was coming out my mouth clearly wasn't the song. And they were like, no, I really don't get it. And I had to find it on one of the devices and play it. And she was like, yeah, you did not sound like that at all.
It didn't sound like that. Are you one of those people who would go on the X Factor or Britain's Got Talent, and then everybody at home says, didn't anybody say that he couldn't sing? Because that would be me. I think because your family and your friends, they're the worst ones to test.
Don't ever ask your family and friends for,
Oh, it's great.
They're too nice.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
I should do this. They're the same ones who say, don't do it. This business we were talking about with goal setting, they're unfortunately the ones who, when you tell them what you're going to do, because they care for you, they'll say, you sure? What are you doing
Yeah.
that for? What are you going to
They
do
won't
that
question.
for? And they'll question it and they'll try to stop you from doing it because they can't understand why you would want to do it. But you
Yeah, they'll
understand why
protect
you
you.
want to do it. They're protecting you and they're trying to keep you in this sort of cocooned area. Not full of old people, but a cocooned area where they're
Yeah.
stopping you from damage, hurting yourself and getting financially and whatever it is unstable. And they think it always is because they've never thought it before themselves. It's like even your financial advisor, if you said to them, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to buy this, I don't think, really? And your financial advisor is looking at the bottom line. They're not the people to ask because they will stop you going for your goal.
They have their
And
agendas and their goals.
yeah, yeah, they do. They are with the best intentions. The the debilitating effect on you achieving your goal, and they
Yeah.
don't mean to do it. They don't mean to do it. But I I know someone who used to write songs. Used to write. Anyway, he used to record them, and he played them to his friends, and they go, "Oh, they're wonderful, great, you should be." And then he played them to somebody who was going to potentially sign him out, and they threw him out of his office. It's sort of terrible, you can't even sing. So what he did, he started to record them and put them in a drawer and left them there for 3 or 4 weeks. Because as soon as you write something or think of something, it's fantastic. It's the best thing since anything that's ever been before. You have now got the new thing. So what he did, he put it in a drawer, left it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then went back and played it. If he still thought it was good, he'd do something with it. And that's why I write everything down. I write notes about things, and I come up with this brilliant idea at 4 o'clock in the morning. Think, Eureka! If I just jumped out of bed and ran to the computer and set up a website for this, chances are it will probably die a death. But
Yeah.
if you write it down and then a little while later, look, oh yeah, right, that is still a good idea, isn't it? That's one of the things you've got to have your own filter for it, I think.
Yeah. And I think of how many times I've started things that have been a good idea at the time and everything like that. And also, family will subconsciously hold you back because it might show them staying in their place and not achieving theirs as well. And I really do emphasize subconsciously. They
Yeah,
would have no idea they're doing that. And we will do
subconsciously,
it.
they don't want you. They don't want you to go somewhere that they can't go.
Yeah. And
And but really, you've got to also subconsciously think, I don't want to stay here. I know you're here, and I'll come back and see you. I'll take you with me if you want to come, but I'm going. Doesn't mean you're
yeah,
leaving the country or leaving the planet. It just means
it's
that
not
you're
leaving them
doing
behind, only
something.
that one aspect.
Yeah, you can't sit. If
You
we
know,
all left school and stayed together, yeah, just as you're not like linked together like some enormous
yeah,
charm bracelet walking around. You just get nowhere in life. You disperse. People dispatch
exactly.
all over the place, but you always know that they're there, and
So
that's the key.
practical ways of setting goals. So first of all, what is a goal?
Well,
What is a sensible goal to set, and how do we set the goal?
a lot of people say you should set a goal that's achievable. Um, Personally, I don't believe it. I've never set an achievable goal. I say that I'm lying. I did when I started for safety, but then I thought I'm only going to get to a certain limit of safety, and safety and security isn't where the magic happens. Magic happens somewhere else, somewhere further out than that, because you're going into areas that other people fear to tread. Um, it's almost as if you've got to set something that stretches you. You've got to set a goal that's going to make you work harder and achieve more. If you think my goal is to make a cup of tea, Well, that's not really a goal. To some people, it might be if they can't move or they're strapped to a
Yeah.
bed, but the majority of people say, well, that's not really a goal, is it? My goal is to get up in the morning and go to work. There's some people who've got goals like that, getting into work on time. These are not goals. These are just,
Yeah. Look, life goals turn up on time one.
yeah, it's odd. The
I used to be there. Now I'm a fanatic for time. But
Yeah,
when you say achievable, it's a matter of stretching what you can do. So you may not be able to achieve it now with the skills and ability you have now, but it also has to be within the realms of not crazy. Because if
well,
it's so crazy, you won't subconsciously believe you'll ever do it, and you'll sabotage it yourself.
a lot of it is down to belief in yourself. You don't need anybody else to believe in you. And this is the I can only
Yeah,
speak from what has happened, what I've done, and what has happened to me,
yeah,
and what I teach people, and they go and do it, and it works. If I tell this to people, if you're sitting in a bar and somebody says, you know what, I really want to start a business, I say, why don't you start a business where you're going to do this, 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 this? Your turnover is going to be about 1.5 million a year, and then it will increase over a 5 year period up to 5 million, and you'll be able to do this. Do that. You go, hold on a second, I'm not going to be able to do that.
yeah,
Now, the problem with that is when someone says, I'm not going to be able to do that, they're telling themselves they're not going to be able to do it. They believe that they're not going to be able to do it. The thing with it is that the language that we've got in our head is the conditioner of the situation. If we believe that we're going to be able to do something, then we've got a better chance of doing it. We've got to allow for outside influence. We've got to allow for other people, situations, laws, sometimes. But if you think it doesn't matter what happens, I'm still going to do this. There's three S's in the word success. The first S is to see it. See yourself doing this. See
right,
yourself successful at it. Because if you can't see yourself successful, no one else will see you as successful.
yeah.
The chances are you're not going to be successful. And the people who say, I can't see myself doing something like that.
You
You watch
won't.
something on TV. You watch something on TV. Somebody started a business. 5 years later, they've got their own private island, and they've got clients all over the world, and they're driving a Maserati, in a private plane. I can't see myself doing that, even in my wildest dreams. I couldn't. Even in your wildest dreams, if you can't see it in your wildest dreams, you're only going to be left with nightmares. Your wildest dreams is where all of this stuff comes from, and your goal itself has got to be. We're taught ad infinitum about this, about the size of goals. I firmly believe that your goal has got to be so big it scares you. And the reason for that is a lot of people make these goals, but they don't stick to them.
Mm.
And the reason they do that is because another goal comes along and they think, oh, that's a better goal. I'll do that. And then something else happens. Oh, I'll do that. I'll get to that one later. The reason for this is because their goal is small. No, you will never ever find a moon that will orbit a planet smaller than it.
Yeah,
Anything in orbit around something in our universe or any universe is in orbit around something smaller than it. The moon is in orbit around the Earth. The Earth is in orbit around the sun because the sun is bigger than the Earth and the Earth is bigger than the moon. We're not in orbit around the moon. The moon is in orbit around us, so we're big. Your goal has got to be big enough to maintain a gravitational pull on you, irrespective of whatever brilliant idea comes along. That brilliant idea, what you do is you get your notebook and you write it in the notebook and you either include it in this goal in some way, or when this goal is finished and you've achieved it, start that one. But you don't sidetrack yourself. You don't start
Yeah.
making a movie and then go, do you know what? I want to make that other movie and start making another movie. They finish the movie. And when
So
that one's made, they make the next one. You've got to finish it. Second S is start it. You will
yeah,
never achieve it unless you start. And that can be as big or as small as you want. As long
can
as
we
it's
go
a
back to the first
step.
test just a moment though?
Yeah.
The reason why I just want to give a practical steps. What I would suggest, because most people don't know what this, because we're not talking about losing 10 pounds in 6 weeks. We're not talking about those goals. You know how to do that. Just do it. You know, those kind of
Yeah.
goals, get a little fitter and, you know, write a single blog post. Just do those. You know how to do them.
Yeah.
We're not talking about anything you know how to do. So what I would do is grab a piece of paper and write down 10 things you would like to achieve in your crazy dreams in the next 2 years. Hello, Kat. Just, I'm talking for a moment. I'll talk to you afterwards. And I don't know if my microphone shut. Can you hear her talking to me?
No. I can hear you.
Um,
Yeah.
one sec. I've just turned my filtering off. Oh, here she is. Write down 10 things or 6 things or whatever that you would, in your wildest dreams, you would like to achieve. And I think it was Kate mentioned about a blog. If you want to have a blog, so you want to have a blog with 10,000 visitors per month, and you want to be making 5 grand a month off it. So, and at the moment, you don't know how to do it. Write that down. A blog, 10,000, and write 6 things down. Then go through and feel each one of them. Which one feels really right? Which one excites you? Scrub
Yeah.
out the rest. You have to have something that literally, when you wake up in the morning, it's not going to keep you in bed. You know, literally, you think about it day and
That's right.
night. You're
It's got to be something that
obsessed.
gets you out of bed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're obsessed with it. And if someone turned around and said to you, "Do you know what? I want to go to the cinema. Forget your goal for a while." You're going to go, "No, I tell you what, cinema's great, but my goal is
Yeah.
more important than this." And you live and
Exactly.
breathe it. You want to talk about it all the time. You want everybody to share your dream. You want, I'm not saying do that, but literally it fills every part of your excitement. Then you're not working on it. If you're having to work on it and slog at it and you're not enjoying it, it's not your goal. You're doing someone else's goal.
You're doing it for someone else
Yeah.
if you got to do it at a particular time.
So that
So,
narrows down what you really would like to achieve. And then feel what it's going to give you. So each one of those things, what's that going to give me in life? How is that going to, you know, and if it feels really right, then set the goal. And setting the goal, just before we go to the second S of the start, set the goal as something that is, you don't know how to do it, but you know when you want to achieve it and you have some specifics of when you want to achieve it. Like if it is a blog, I want to make $5,000 per month off my blog or visitors, or I want a blog that has 10,000 people on the email list, or I want to help X amount of people. Set an
yeah.
actual tangible thing. You don't even need to know how to set up a domain at this point. So
Well,
you've
that
now
goes
set
back.
when and what. Now it's the second S.
But picking up, before I do that, picking up on one point that you said there, you don't need to know how you're going to do it. You just need to
No.
know that you're going to do it. Because you
I
don't
didn't
know
know how to go,
how,
yes or no.
that's not your business. Yeah, it's not your business to know how. You'll find out how, because the how will appear. It will show itself to you somewhere. As long as you're
When you're ready.
certain that you want to do this, then you become certain that you're going to do it. And when you're sure that you're going to do it, everything seems to fall into place. And
nothing
whole
will stop you.
gains like a propulsion system, like a motivation you get with it because things start happening and you don't realize how they're happening. And then you
Yeah,
notice the things that you need, that you want, and you think, where did they been there all the time? It's been too bloody stupid to notice them because you weren't focused on it and you weren't orbiting this goal. That second S is to start it, is to just take one small step, an incremental step towards the goal. I
yeah,
I trained people for over 15 years on how to walk on fire on a broken glass. And I used to do it on charity firewalks, and people would raise 35, 40,000 in a night. It was far better than standing on a street corner. We were like chug, 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 you know. But it was at the end of a corporate event that we'd do a firewalk or a glass walk. And the thing with that is that firewalk was 20 foot long, and it took 10 steps. Now, I was only interested in the first step. I wasn't interested in the last step or the fifth step. I was only interested in the first. And you, Stephen, have disappeared somewhere.
I'm back.
And now you're back. Live now. There we are. We're live. I don't know what anybody heard then, but
They were hearing you. It was just I was listening. I was reading Farrell's
oh right,
and Caitlin's
oh
comment.
okay. But the thing is, I was only concerned with the first step that they put on that firebed. It didn't bother me about the others. The rest of them followed very quickly, I must admit. But the first step was my job to get them on that firebed. And your job is to take the first step to get you on that path to your goal. Because the biggest issue that everybody has as the first step is to dive into the pool. It's to jump out of the plane. It's not the parachuting down, that's great. But it's to jump out of the plane. It's to
Yeah,
dive in the pool. It's the first step on the bed of glass or in the bed of fire. And that's the only one that I concern myself with. That I've focused on and got them comfortable with that. When they've done that, the other steps fall into place. You don't know how they've done that. But
yeah,
that's the thing, is to start it. And the third S is sustain it, which comes with the orbit around this goal. Not to lose track of what you're doing, not to lose track of what your goal is, not to get sidetracked by another smaller goal, which is no use whatsoever, except for an immediate effect. But your long term goal is always a big one. But what you've got to remember with the goal that you want, it is purely a target at the start. It's not a goal at the start. It's a target. There's people saying, "Oh, set your goal," and we call this goal setting. Well, you are goal setting, but it's a target. And as I said to you last time, if you're if you're in your half of a soccer game and you're given the ball, your goal is to score a goal. No, that's your target. Is to get a
yeah,
goal scored. Your first goal is to get past the attacking player that's right in front of you. That's your goal. Because unless you get past him, you're going to go nowhere. So that's your first goal. Then your second goal, because there's another one there. Then your third goal is to get the ball into that half. The fourth goal is to get it into the penalty area or in an area where someone and possibly you can score. And then as soon as you get near to this, a little bit nearer to the goal itself, that is your final goal. And everything
yeah.
that you've done in the past has been the incremental steps towards it.
Yes,
That's how it works. And it's got to be big. It's whatever you do, you've got to do it big.
yeah.
You don't need to know how you're going to do it. Everything falls in. The best thing to do is ask
It's got
people
to be your
for what you
passion.
want.
It's no good being big and ambitious if it isn't your passion, because
Well, the
you
goal
won't
can be
even
your
do.
passion.
Sorry.
The goal can be your passion,
Yeah,
or it could be the results of the goal. It could be that your passion is to build a business. So what? You can say to people, "I own a business." We all own a business. But is that your goal? If that's your goal, it's very easy to do. If your goal is to live, a multi-million-pound life, like a multi-millionaire or whatever, and have your own jet, private island, or fly all over the world, that's your goal. That's not the business. The business isn't the goal. A business
No.
that will provide you that income is the goal. But you've got to be specific with all of these things, and that's what makes it successes. That's the fourth S that occurs sometimes,
Yeah.
is to make it specific. If you say, I want more money, right,
How much more?
here's 10 pence, here's $1. Okay, you've got
Yeah.
more money.
You achieve your goal.
Now what do you want? Well, that's not enough. Well, tell me what you want then. You've got to be specific. My goal is to make £50,000 or $50,000 by this Christmas. So now you've got something specific to work on. You can then break that down into little chunks. I mean, there's something on my page which breaks down £1 million or $1 million, and you need
Yeah.
1 million people to buy something for $1 to earn £1 million. And then it goes the other way, and it says, well, you only need 2 people to buy something for $500,000 to make £1 million. So it's the value of what you've got. If it's money that you're aiming at, everything really does revolve and depend upon the financial aspect of it. A lot of people have got a problem with talking about money, but this is really why we do things, because it's the only way we can function in the world is if we've got money. We can't do anything without it. But it doesn't need to be your God. It doesn't need to be your controller.
Yeah,
but you
that's
need it.
important.
Yeah, you're not doing it for the money's sake. You're doing it for you and for other people. If you're going to improve other people's lives, do it. If you're going to improve your life, do it. If you're going to create something that's going to be used for generations, do it. But it can't just be for the money.
Yeah. But it's not actually money that people want. People always think they want the money. Well, not always, but a lot of the time, it's the freedom that the money gives. Okay, we come up with the goal in which we want. We're passionate about this now.
Yeah.
What I would do then is go and get a blank book. Go and get a blank book, and not the internet, not these notepads, not these things, because you'll end up with 22 different platforms, and you'll spend more time on these platforms than you will actually doing it. Get a tangible book from a bookstore that's blank.
Right.
Go to the back page and write down your goal and how you'll feel when you achieved it.
Right.
Because you've got to keep going to that feeling. Then you've got every single page. You don't know what's going to go on those pages, and you don't know exactly how to do it. But you only now need to do, say, if your goal is to say, make £1 million. And like you say, you're breaking it down into individual ones. Then on the first page, you could just, what's the one thing you can do now to make $20? Do that today. So you've made $20. And that's the point in making a start. Now then, say if you want to write a book, you don't know about the publishing, you don't know about getting it out there, you don't know about editing, you don't know about any of that. But the back page, you've sold 10,000 copies. Be realistic about your book. You've got it published and it's out there. The first page is to write 100 words. And that's it. You could go 10 pages in and you could write a little bit at the top, say, workout title. You might not know how to do that yet. But the 10th page in, when you get there, your subconscious mind would have worked it out. And this is the point. And during your goal, you'll come across lots of things that you don't enjoy doing that are side things that are linked into your goal. Get someone else to do them. Because it'll kill your passion if you get so mixed up in doing the nitty-gritty.
Sure.
Stick to what you enjoy doing, achieving your goal, the bits that you enjoy doing. If 90% of it isn't, it's the wrong goal again. But every
Yeah,
now and
I mean,
again, there will be tedious things.
I think from I speak from my experience. I would ask people, um, and I would do things that most people would not have done because I ever since I was a kid, I've never had fear of asking for what I wanted. And unfortunately, we do. Majority of people have that. They feel they're imposing on people. But you'll find that successful people share. Successful people want. Um, successful people want to share their story of how they did it. And if you find someone who has done what you want to do what they did. Find out what they did, copy it. If they went to a particular place and got finance from there, try that yourself. If they went to this person and got them involved, find someone like that person, get them involved. There's no shame in doing that.
No.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can be very, very successful. Like what we do here, millions of people, thousands of people maybe, are doing this also. But it's what makes it different is what makes it you and your business. Your business and you're different from others, how you do it. The best way to describe it, I think, is I mean, down your neck of the woods, there's a lot of people do this. Because I used to come down there when I was a kid with my parents for all of this. Bude and Newquay, surfer's paradise down there because of the waves, right? Now, surfing, top surfers in the world are millions. They go into competitions, they're doing what they love, but they are the top elite people and they earn fortunes. Now, this is just an example of what you want to do as a goal, as a business. You might think, well, there's lots of people doing this. You don't have to invent something. You just need to do something different to what everybody else does. That's why I have people say, I only fly British Airways. Why? It's a plane, goes up in the air, lands. You've got Ryanair, you've got EasyJet, you've got Virgin, you've got Emirates, you've got, why'd you go British Airways? It's because of the way they do things. That's what it is. Now, surfers travel all over the world, win cups, win awards. They don't invent the wave. They don't create the wave. They just ride the wave better than anyone
Or
else.
build the aeroplane.
No one builds the airplane or flies it. I mean, I wouldn't get on it if someone said, "I just built this airplane. Do you want to come?" No, but
Well, exactly.
it, it's that's the thing. You're doing something different to what everybody else does. It's the same thing with a twist, and that's what you have to look for. I looked at people who were doing all of this sort of stuff, and I thought, God, the sales training is so boring in companies because what they do is say, we're going to have some sales training. They go down, open up a cupboard, lift out this 65-year-old bloke covered in dust, and he goes out and gives a presentation as if he was in 1954. That's what it was like. And so I thought, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I've got to do something different. So the technique's always the same, but you go along and you do it in a way that's now looking at the future, not taking everybody back to 1954, bringing them back to 1998 when I first started doing that, and doing it like that. It doesn't work because
Yeah.
that style of training doesn't work, and people need to have connections, and people need experiential training, and people need to get involved. If you tell someone something, they'll get it, but if you show them how to do it, they've got it for life. It's a bit like give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. Teach him how to fish, he'll eat forever. Give him a
Yeah.
stick of dynamite, and everybody eats because he's going to go and blow up the river, and there's fish everywhere. That's how training is done now. Is that you take away something, you can show it to someone else. In those days, when I first started, it was really boring, really tired. disinterested. There was a lot of form filling. Did you understand this? Did you understand? You shouldn't even need to ask questions like. So do it differently. Throwing a firewalk, I was off, and that's what made it different. Whatever your goal is, whatever you want to achieve, whatever your purpose for starting a goal setting program or goal achievement program, um, should only take it should only take you about a year to get a grip of what it is you're trying to create. You bring other people in. Never ever be afraid to bring in people that you know are smarter than you. That's the first rule of leadership,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're going to be doing everything. You're going to be micromanaging and covering everything and doing everything for everyone just to make sure it gets done. But when you bring the smart people in, they are the
Yeah.
ones who will say, well, what about if you did this? You go, now you can either say that's a great idea, I'll give you a bonus for that, or you can be really sneaky and say, I wondered whether you was going to come up with that. But the thing is, you bring the smart people in and never fear having the smarter people than you. The majority of leaders are not high IQ. They're not tons of qualifications. They're not full of degrees and A levels, O levels, or whatever they are, or whatever they call them now. They're not full of those. You know, they are full of purpose. They're full of energy, drive, and purpose. That's what and they've got a goal
There's a
set
good
mind.
story about that. You know the story of Henry Ford when he was taken to court by his local state because he made $10 million in a year, and they took him because they said nobody could morally make that much money as a single person. No one has that much intelligence that could make that money morally without it being a criminal offence back
Yeah,
then. And
yeah,
and when they said, "Where did you get all your wealth of knowledge to be able to make that $10 million?" and he said, "I haven't got it, but I know how to hire people that have."
yeah,
And that's the point. And it's like using that book, like I say.
yeah.
If you want to do a blog, you don't have to become a domain register. You don't have to become an expert in search engines. You only do the bits that you find your
Yeah.
passion for.
The whole
Find someone
platform
that's
is
an
set up.
expert in search engines. Find
The whole
someone,
platform is set up for you. The whole
yeah,
platform's
someone's
there.
already done it.
Yeah.
You
But the
don't need
other
to
thing,
become
that
an expert at every part.
if you link that with what you said about writing a book, that is one of the easiest ways to write a book, is to write a blog. Because if you write a blog post a day and you write, say, a chapter a day and you put it on a blog, 30 days later, if you're diligent with it, you've got the makings
Yeah.
of a book of 30 chapters. And all you've got to do is go back and edit the individual chapters and then print it or copy it into a PDF, send it to Amazon, and they'll print it for you. But you've then got a book that you can then take to a publisher and say, look, I'd like this published by you, in hardback. I'd like you to read it. It's for sale here. You look at ways of doing this stuff. The thing I had when I started a company called Disc back in 1988, and I was 16. Now, no, 20. I was 20 in 1988. I think I looked at it at 1986. It started to become really prevalent that we were going over more and more to high volume computer programs rather than looking at a little disk, a little floppy disk and all this. And computers were taking over. So I toyed with this idea in 1986. And in 1988, 18 years old nearly, I went to the bank. Now, this is what I'm saying. You don't have any barriers. If you think there's no barrier, you just plough through it. Never think that you've got to conform to what people expect from you,
Yeah.
and never think that you've got to be not politically correct, but possibly you don't that you can't ask for something. And people say you're having a joke on you. You can't and annoy people because if you don't ask, you don't get. I went to the bank, Barclays Bank in Stratford, in East London, and in those days you could make an appointment with a bank manager. And these days, no one even knows who the bank manager is. But in those days, you could. I made an appointment with a bank manager, and he said, "How can I help you?" I said, "Look, I've got this idea. I've worked it all out. This is what the business that I want to start." And I wasn't interested in computers, but I knew it was going to be the future. I couldn't figure it out, and it didn't appeal to me. But I knew something was going to happen. And knowing that you need to be somewhere is the best thing. Not being where the puck in the game is, but being where the puck is going to be is the answer. That
Yeah.
quote in the ice about ice hockey. And he said, "What can I do for you?" I said, "I'd like to open up an account, a business account." Excuse me. So he said, "Okay, what's the name of the business?" I said, "DISC, DISC. Is it registered anywhere?" I said, "Yeah, it's registered." He said, "A disc." He said, "Is it a music business?" I said, "No, it's computer disc." I said, "Actually, it's data input specialist company. That's what it is." And what does that do then? I said, "It takes your filing cabinet and it puts it onto the computer, so that all your files, instead of being there, we photograph it and scan it, and we put it on the system itself. And so you hold your entire 12 filing cabinets in your hand like this. No memory sticks in those days. So there's your disc. I can see there being a market for this." He said, what is it that you need?" I said, "I need a loan of £25,000. 1988, £25,000. A lot of money in those days. A lot of money now, but it was a very large sum of money in 1988. And he said, "Okay, what do you have as collateral?" I said, "Nothing." I said, "This is the idea. I've got the plan. I've got the people who are going to do it as well. They all want to come in with me, be paid." He said, "Have you got an account?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Is it with us?" I said, "No." I said, "It's with Midland Bank." So he said, "Oh, right, okay. When did you go to Midland Bank?" I said, "I went to the Midland Bank." I said, "But I don't think that they're as forward thinking as you seem to be." Right. Okay. He said, "So what is it you're looking for? You're looking for a loan of £25,000. I said, "Yeah, I want to open up a business account. I want you to put £25,000 into it as a loan. And then we're going to go off and do our business. And then we start to pay that loan back to you and we use it." He said, "Hold on. You're not going to put any money into the account?" I said, "No, none whatsoever." I said, "Because I've got money in the Midland Bank and I'm going to pay my staff." Right. So basically, a business account, we could give you an overdraft, but not a loan. It's fine by me. Give me an overdraft and not a loan. I don't care what way. What if you default on the loan? I said, "Well, I won't, will I? I'll pay you. You'll be able to take your loan payment for the first 3 months out of the account." He said, "You're going to get paid by these people before then?" I said, "I don't envisage there being any payment for 4 months because of invoicing and everything." And he's trying to think like, I'm going to loan you money. You haven't got any money, and yet you're going to pay it back. He said, "Well, how are you going to pay the first few installments?" I said, "I'm not. You are." He said, "Well, why would the bank pay your installments?" I said, "You'll take it from the money that's in the account." He said, "But that's our money." I said, "Now you've got it. What if you default?" I said, "Well, it'll be you defaulting, not me. You won't default on yourself, will you? But at the end of the fourth month, I'll be able to transfer the money that we've accrued into that account, He said, this is an unusual way to set up a business. I said, sometimes the businesses are very unusual, but you've got to do it. And he did. And a year later, I sold the company because I went off and done something else. A year later, no, a year and a half later, in 1990, I sold disc to somebody for just under £300,000 in 1990.
There you go.
And it started from nothing. It just started from people who were willing to do what I had as an idea. And when you've got the idea and you've got the buy-in from people around you, you start to build momentum. And you've got to have the nerve to ask. This is the problem that a lot of people ask for help.
Yeah,
Nobody
important.
in the world has done anything on their own without the help of at least one other person who knew what they were doing.
Hmm.
And you've got to have the ability to ask somebody to give you a hand, to give you help sometimes, because sometimes you're in it feels like you're in a swimming pool with your feet on the bottom of the pool and the water is up here. And so you go, right, we're going to start a business, and you're off. And suddenly you've got a choice. Either I go under, or I'm quite happy not to have my feet on the ground. And so not having your feet on the ground, there's no problem. But if you go under, you're going to drown. And the only way you're going to do that is if nobody throws you a lifebelt at little times here and there, you're not going to be able to get to the end of it. You need to ask for help. And the best thing to do is to ask from someone who has already done something almost like what you're doing, and they're a success at it.
Yeah, you don't have to become an expert in everything. We're coming up to the last
No.
5 minutes, so I'm thinking of some more practical steps. Persistency and coming back day in and day out. If it's your
Yeah,
passion, you won't need to. Um, you all right there, Dave?
yeah, I am.
If it's your passion, you won't need to be now to come back. You will be back there. You'll be sitting at that desk. You'll be making those phone calls. Um, but the idea is to just do a bit every day. If you leave it till Friday and then you got, oh, well, I've got all week, I'll do it all on Friday, it won't happen.
No.
For the simple fact you will end up creating in your mind what many people have at the beginning, and that is that they have to achieve this in one big go.
Yeah,
I've got to achieve my whole goal in one thing. I've got to write a book. Well, no one wrote a
yeah.
book. Bang, they wrote a book. Everybody wrote
Nobody sat
one
down and
word
done
at
it.
a time.
Yeah. Well, while your partner's sitting there watching Emmerdale or something, you knock out a book. It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work. And nobody wrote a book and didn't screw up the earlier chapters. Get rid of some of them. No one wrote it cover to cover and goes, it's done.
That's
You
it.
know, one of the best advices I've got, and while I'm here telling you, I'm also aware that I'm finishing up writing my book, and these things that I didn't stick to. I thought I could write 3,000 words on Friday, no problem. You don't do it. You've got to do it regularly. You've got to keep it up.
Yeah.
And one of the best bits of advice, I think it was off Patrick Snow, I think, and through Christine, which is a brilliant book coach, and said, just write crap, just write, keep writing. Don't edit while you're going, just write. You can worry about all those things later. You know,
Yeah.
editors that they're not writers, but they're brilliant at what they do. You get the only reason when we read a book, it's really written well without spelling mistakes, is not because the authors are good, it's because the editors are good.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Yeah.
The cover designs are good, not because the author is a designer, it's because they employed a designer.
Yeah.
So forget trying to create a book the same as what's on the shelf. You won't.
No, I mean, this is very similar. This is like when I said about there are people who are great at doing the things that you find yourself having to do, and you're trying to do them, And really, what you're doing is you're making life more difficult for yourself.
Yeah.
Employ that person in any way, shape, or form to either work for you 24 hours a day or once a week, look at what we're doing. Look at what we're doing here. What do you think? This is the idea. Our, and take the feedback from them.
Yeah.
There is a difference between IQ and with businesses. There's a difference between IQ and EQ. IQ is sometimes important, but it tends to be built upon a list of questions like how long does it take two men to fill up a bath in a blizzard halfway up Mount Everest on a Wednesday? And so you're trying to figure that out and you come out with the answer and they go, wow, okay. But no, if you're no good at that, your emotional quotient, how you relate and interact with people, the magnetism that you have from your energy of bringing other people to you who want to work with you, and the fact that you talk to people and you get a group and a team together who work with each other, not
Yeah.
against each other in competition, but work with each other to come towards a common goal. This is why the majority of the big businesses are run by people with high EQs, and the people working for them have got high IQs. They know how to put the business and the people together. These people know how to do all the intricate stuff. And you don't really need to get involved in the intricate stuff.
No.
What he's flashing up, no risk, no gain, established a well laid out plan. That is what the
It's just
banker wants to
uh,
see.
we've had lots of comments.
Yeah.
See, I don't like the IQ and the EQ.
No.
The EQ, yes, but I just like emotional wisdom. That's yeah.
I think the biggest thing with it is not so much that it's the competition between the IQ and the EQ. I mean, I've got a thing
Yeah.
that I always use, and that is I never went to university, but a lot of people who work for me did, because I've got a core team of 10 people, and at least 5 of them have got degrees, but it's how we all work together. We work as a team. I might come up with an idea, they might say, really, but and then we try and work, and I think, yeah, change my mind. What do
Exactly.
Or we run with it. But it's that information and feedback that you get. Sorry, the difference between the EQ and the IQ. You get the feeling for something, and you can see in your head. You think, now, why would that would work? That'd be a great idea. And if we done it, you're so far ahead of the person
Yeah.
with the high IQ who's already finding the issues and the reasons why it won't work,
Mm-hmm.
and the
They're very
barriers
good
that
at
you're going to
finding
find.
problems.
Oh yeah, they've got a problem for every solution. That's right. But the thing is, the EQ guy has got a solution for every problem, and you think, well, why don't you do that? Why can't we
Yeah.
do that? What's stopping us? Well, it's like management consultancy, going somewhere and saying, well, our figures are down, our people are not working together, we need to change it. What do we do? So, well, the problem is that you need to, or we can't change that because we've always done that. Amateurs solve more problems than experts because experts have all of the protocols, the rules, the regulations that they adhere to. An amateur says, well, you want that to go there? Right, okay, it goes like that. All this stuff in the middle, the expert is saying, well, that can't be done. The amateur is saying, well, it's got to be done if you want that there. You've got to change that. That's what's stopping it.
I'm going to even the playing field now and say the amateurs cause a lot of problems too, including me. I'm putting myself in that. But problems have
Right.
to be caused. You know, the minute you set a goal, you've got problems because you've got a problem, everything you don't need to do, but you don't need to solve them all. Some
No.
solve yourself. Some, if it's something you like trying to solve it yourself. If it's something you want to learn along the way, you might like video editing, and your goal has your final goal is partly to do with that, and video editing is partly to do with like blogging. Say, feel free, go and learn it.
Yeah,
But if it's something else
yeah,
that's not passionate, get someone else to do the other thing. You know,
yeah,
there is things I do that I enjoy doing still. Um, but you will always find somebody that the passion for what you don't want to do is their passion. Don't
yeah.
deprive them of it. You know, if someone likes numbers and been an accountant, I'm not going to deprive them of it because I don't want to do
No, horses for courses. It's
it.
horses for courses. And there are experts out there who only do want to do that one thing. They don't want to come with you on that journey to
Yeah,
ultimate success when you hit your goal. If you go from sitting in your house thinking, you know, it would be a really good idea if there was, and you come up with this idea, do it. Just start it. Just go for it
yeah.
because I
Just make
guarantee,
one phone call,
oh, I
one
guarantee
search
in a
on Google.
1 year later, and you haven't done it, you'll be sitting there watching TV and you go, you see that? You see that? That was my idea. I was going to do that a year ago. Well, why didn't you?
Yeah,
Ah, and you come up with an excuse for it. Oh, but they did it. Why didn't you? It's
yeah,
like this business of the pandemic, and whether or not we're going to get back to normal. You know, I prefer abnormal. I prefer. I mean, I've got another. I've got a book that's coming out in September called Business Unusual, which is how we're probably going to have to do things from now on. You don't need to do face to face with people and meetings. You do Zoom.
yeah.
You know, you can run a seminar. You don't need to travel. They say, oh, my business.
More working
I
from
used to
home.
travel all over the
Yeah,
world. I used to go here, there. Yeah, and how much did it cost you to go all over the world? Now, click. That's it. Done. You know, this is the whole thing. You can have a Zoom meeting of about
yeah,
500 people, charge them admission to it, instead of you going and flying to America, getting there, booking into a
yeah.
hotel, staying there, booking the conference center, paying all this money out.
And all the carbon and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's
And yet now you can do it like this.
the perfect example of this is Twitter.
Yeah.
Um,
These
you know,
platforms are there.
last year people said that we cannot work from home because we're too big a companies, we're too thing. The truth is the need wasn't big enough. Now the need was to work from home. You know, your company goes under or you find a way that you can work from home.
Uh,
Suddenly all these companies that said no security issues, the networks, the computers aren't configured for it, are all working from home. And Twitter's looked up and said, look, I'm happy all the employees stay working from home as long as they want to, as long as they stay productive. So there's no
that's,
big centers anymore. Call centers are now going to be at home rather than, you know, it does create other problems with
yeah,
children and all.
it does.
But
Yeah. But
I, I phoned my landlord this morning. Well, I said my landlord, the association, and the person I got through to, I could hear the kids in the background. And I'm sure it wasn't so pleasant for her, but it was just kind of nice because I felt like I was talking to a person.
yeah, well, a robot
And
or
they
just
solved that
reading off of a
problem.
screen.
They got it all. Yeah.
But it's gone from a need to a necessity. And going from a need to a necessity made it work.
Yeah.
Well, that means that there's always something that will make this mad idea work. It doesn't mean that you're going to have a pandemic every
Yeah.
time you want to work from home. It's just a different way of thinking about something, a different way of looking at something makes something change into something better than it was. It takes that emphasis of, well, working from home, how do we do that? Well, you do what you do
Yeah.
here, but you do it at home. Oh, that makes sense. You know, and all you got to do is put a dedicated phone line in,
Yeah.
or transfer it on Skype, or transfer it
Yeah.
through whatever. You
Instead
don't
of getting
need to
the
do anything. Have we got a
Instead of focusing
We've
on
got all
focusing
the
on
stuff
rocket
here.
fuel, they had to do it.
It's like we've
And,
got to put a phone line in. We've got to put a phone line in, have we?
yeah,
Well, no, because they can go online and talk to somebody in Australia with no problem on Skype. They don't need the
yeah,
phone. They do it through the computer. So why don't you divert that phone number to the computer, and then they can pick up the call there, talk to a headset, and they can look on the computer. Right. Okay. Well, they're only doing it because they think it's going to be temporary because they've spent all this money on nice plush offices that nobody but them go to. So what will we have at the end of it? We're going to have people. I've always wanted people to work at home. None of my guys work in an office. I've got an office, but I don't ask them to come in. They work from home,
yeah.
and I think there's a value to working from home. I
There
think
is.
it gives people freedom. It gives them, that they're left to their own devices. It gives everybody the responsibility. Oh, I better get home because I've got to do this call and speak to. You're only doing what you're doing in the office, and who cares whether you're sitting there in your dressing gown, in your pajamas, talking to somebody on the phone? You don't need to get dressed up to go into the office to make a call to speak to someone. They don't care what you're wearing because they can't see you.
Well, it,
And I
oh,
believe
oh,
half of the newsreaders on here are only dressed to the waist down. I think at the bottom they've got a pair of shorts with
yeah,
flippers on.
I'm only I'm only dressed to the waist down.
Well,
But
I'm
you're
I'm
safe. I
complete.
can stand up, so you're okay.
Well, I'm
Just
completely naked under these clothes. So
yeah,
that's how it works. Yeah.
that's ruined my day.
Well, there you go. Well, any questions
Thank
on
you.
there before?
There's not really any questions. I'm very aware we've done 70 minutes.
What's that in
Um,
old money? Hour and 10 minutes.
it's
Right.
70 minutes. It's really like you say. If it is our passion, we'll find the solutions. We'll find the ways and all that, and it won't be.
You find a way if
Um,
you really want to do it. If you don't
yeah,
find a way, you didn't really
well,
want to do it. You were easily knocked off course. You were easily knocked out of orbit. That wasn't for you.
yeah, yeah,
You are orbiting the wrong planet there, mate. There's got to be some buy-in from you, some interest.
yeah.
This is the thing that always got me at school. When I was married before in a previous life,
Like
the
I,
first ex-wife, I had two stepchildren, and my stepson was suffering at school, wasn't getting very good grades. So we went to an open evening, and the teacher's sitting there, and he said, "Martin has got he's not concentrating in class." So my ex-wife is going, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." She said, "Well, we'll have a word with him, get him to concentrate." He said, "It's very off-putting. When I'm speaking to the class, I can see that he's not listening to me. He's not interested in something. His history grade is really down." I said, "Strange that." I said, "Because his art and his technical drawing and his design that he wants to do, he's really up on that." I said, "But you're saying that his history is down?" He said, "Yes." He said, "He's not listening at all." He said, "He's looking out the window and he's just not concentrating. So his grades are down on this. He's not picking up anything." I said, "Have you considered that it might be you that's at fault?" So he said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "Well, look, in those days he had a PlayStation, like the original one." I said, "He can sit on that PlayStation for hours, and they get his attention. And there's a girl walking past every day. I almost have to peel him off that window. She gets his attention, but you can't. You ever considered why you can't and everyone else can, and you're trying to blame him? Is it because you haven't said anything that's fired his imagination yet?"
Mm.
Because I could never understand why, when I was a kid, I'd go home and they'd say, you look at your results and say, "Oh, you got an A in English and you got a B in maths. But in history, you got a D, and in biology, you got a D, and in chemistry, you got a D. You need to work on your history, your chemistry." No, I don't. I don't like them. I
Yeah,
don't. Why am I working on something? I'm not going to be a chemist or a biologist, and I'm not going to be a historian. I want to work in an expressive thing. I want to do something like art or music or something like that. because you get a passion for something, you learn it, you take it in. But when you're force fed something to build up a balance, you don't need balance. Balance is rubbish. You need harmony. There's a difference between balance and harmony. If you look at a balance, it's like that. There's not much happening there. It's
Yeah.
static, right? Even weighted. But if you've got somebody singing, it's very nice. They can sing, great song. And then two other people join in and give it harmony, and it builds a bigger, fuller sound. That's magical. Harmony is the thing. And the harmony for me was to do something expressive. It was either paint or write or create something, and that's what I do. But I'm not an historian. And
Yeah.
it's nothing to do with the fact that I had low grades. It's the fact that I didn't really care. If I needed to know, I'd find out. Chemistry, biology, why am I going to work my ass off doing that
Hmm.
to satisfy a teacher when I'm not going to leave school and do that? Because we all drop subjects when we left school. Like we said earlier, our mates disappear. You keep in touch with a few, but everybody goes their own way. You might be a good swimmer, but when you leave school, you get a job, you haven't got time to go swimming. I used to be in a fencing team, and we used to. Last time I'd done it was when I was 17. I got all my awards and badges for it, but I never kept it up because you have to go and source these things and find these places to do this. It's the stuff that underpins what you want to do, and your goal has got to be in there. If your goal is just making businesses, great, make a business. Doesn't matter what it is. Businesses are all the same. They run the same, they create the same.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to write a book, if your goal is to become, I don't know, an opera singer, or your goal is to become whatever, you've got to have an affinity with it. And if you've
Oh,
got the affinity with it, then you're in. You can't just do it. It's like getting a job. You think, so how many people go and they go, do you work for a living? Yeah, I hate my job. Why'd you do it? The problem with this country and every country is that you need a degree and qualifications to work for someone else and make them rich. But you don't need any qualifications or degree to work for yourself and make yourself rich.
Yeah.
Work for yourself, build your business, satisfy whatever it is that you need to do. Create your dream and get it and hit it.
Yeah.
If you think the sky is the limit, it's not. There are footprints on the moon. Sky is not the limit. Right? You can do anything you want to put your mind to. You
Yeah.
just need to
Exactly.
see it, start it, sustain it. But first, you need to believe it. It's not seeing is believing.
Yeah, and I'm with Farrell here. It's a whole different week of shows. The education system.
Yeah.
The only reason you got to do well in all subjects is so the teachers can prove to the next generation of parents that the school is good enough for their kids to be educated in everything to complete the cycle again.
Yeah.
And the best you can hope for is that you can leave school with a child still intact.
And these are the same people who just want to coast through life,
Yeah.
safe and content to arrive safely at death.
And
You've
I
got to
love
do
teachers.
something.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming teachers. My niece is a teacher. I got friends that are teachers. I love teachers, and I love the kids, and I love. It's just the system is still 100 years ago. They're still learning about things from textbooks 100 years ago, and I'm not talking about history. That's a whole different show.
Right. Well, Stephen, if you went out, you said, I'm going to give this up, right? I'm going to go and get a job somewhere. Or years ago, you went to get a job. I went for interviews. The people watching this have been for interviews to get a job. Has anybody at an interview ever said to you, okay, I've just got a couple of questions. Where was the Magna Carta signed?
Mm.
What do you think? What the hell has that got to do with me working here?
No.
You know, when was the fall of the Roman Empire?
No.
What's an isthmus?
And I can understand the attraction in
What's
some
that got to do with the job?
I can understand the attraction history, but we don't need to become experts in every subject.
No.
Focus on what the kids love.
Expert
And
in
the same as
yourself
what we
is
love.
all you need. You need to be an expert in yourself so you can take this leap of faith in yourself and
Yeah.
just go and do it.
We're going to leave it on that note. Become an expert in yourself. I love that.
That's all you need.
Thanks, Dave. We've gone well over the hour, and thank you everybody for staying here and your comments. Sorry we couldn't get to all the comments.
But we will.
Yeah.
We'll have a look through them later.
But we'll do this again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I don't know where I'll be.
Probably where you're to.
Yeah.
I don't think much is going to change in the next 2 weeks. Thank you, guys.
No.
I will be live again tomorrow at 2 p.m. UK time for a guided meditation. And that's it. Public service announcements over.
Can I say one thing?
Guys. You
Can I
can.
say one thing? If anybody wants to send me a question about anything here, you get me there. You can get me there. And you can get me there. And all it is Mr. Dave Moore, Moore. Send me a question, and if you want any help with anything, contact me through those three. You can get me at a blog called mrdavemoreblog.com, or you can get me on my main page, which is regeneretics.com. Just send me anything you want to know, what you want to ask or anything, or if you had a question and you didn't get it answered, I'll contact Stevie and say that we've got this question, so you know who it is, and I'll answer whatever I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll see you whenever in the future.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to Dave most especially.
My pleasure, as always. Take care.